Hey, Book Dragons, I'm so glad you're here with me today. I wanted to discuss the cozy phenomenon, as I'm calling it. And this is the phenomenon where a bunch of books in the last several years have popped up in the genres primarily of fantasy and sci-fi, but others as well. And they tend to center around things that make you feel warm and cozy. And I recently finished reading Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. This is a little bit of a departure from the coziness of the series, although it's still there. And so I wanted to do an overall video talking about my thoughts on the series. So we got Legends and Lattes, Bookshops and Bone Dust, and Brigands and Bread Knives. And of course, he's got another book coming out soon, Tales from the Territory, which is a collection of short stories set in this world. So I just wanted to let you all know my thoughts on these books in particular, but also talk about the cozy phenomenon. This whole idea of giving ourselves things to read that help us feel good, that make us happy, and give us those warm and fuzzy feelings. So to start off with, I thought we would look at what that looks like, what the definition is. So the English word cozy, of course, refers to a state of warm, snug, and comfortable contentment, often referring to small, intimate, or sheltered spaces. It implies a feeling of safety and relaxation, frequently associated with soft textures, warmth, and a close, inviting atmosphere. This is definitely something that I crave, and I know a lot of other people crave, and I think that's one of the reasons that we've seen a lot of this pop up in books lately. There's a whole range of cozy books that have popped up. And it comes from the Danish concept of hygge, which is centered on creating a warm, cozy atmosphere and enjoying life's simple pleasures with loved ones. Key principles of hygge include togetherness, intimacy, comfort, and at its core, presence. And I really love that. I love this concept just in general as it applies to all of life. And then there's a related Dutch term, gezellig, and it means a warm, cozy, and convivial atmosphere encompassing feelings of togetherness, comfort, and enjoyment with loved ones. It applies to both intimate settings like a cafe and social gatherings. So you're getting the big picture here, right? Something that makes us feel warm, something that makes us feel loved, and gives us that sense of togetherness. I think that's really important right now because, let's be honest, the world is kind of crap right now, and we all want something to make us feel good and to uplift us and kind of nurse the wounds a little bit, if you will. And so that's the reason I think that a lot of this has become really popular, is because we don't quite know how to handle all of the things that are going on in our world, and we desire that escape. And fantasy and sci-fi in particular are a great means of escaping reality, right? So I think that's why we've seen that pop up a lot in science fiction and fantasy fiction. We're going to take a look at these books in particular, and I'm going to tell you what I liked about them, why I think you should read this series. And then we're going to take a look at some other recommendations that I have personally read or that I've heard are good that you may want to check out if you're really in the mood for some cozy fiction. And it might just be that you've read this really intense thriller or long and violent fantasy book and you're wanting a palate cleanser. You're wanting something soft and warm that you can hold on to while you recover from reading that book. And that's valid as well. Sometimes we just need that palate cleanse. So you're probably familiar with this series if you've been on BookTube for any length of time. The first book, of course, is Legends and Lattes, and this follows an orc named Viv who is tired of the fighting life. She's tired of doing endless battles and going on missions to root out insurrections in different towns and bring the bad guys to justice. She's just wanting something different. And so she finds this little town. Along the way in her travels, she has discovered this hot bean juice that is all the rage. Or coffee, if you will. And she decides to start a coffee shop. And there's plenty of really good drinks, and there's plenty of pastries to go around, plenty of good conversation, and strong friendships that are built, and even a little bit of romance. It's a really, really great tale, and it's really going to scratch that itch for you if you were wanting something cozy. It's a low-stakes fantasy. It says it right in the blurb for the book. There are some intense things that happen, but on the whole, it's not stressful. It's not overwhelming. It's not something that's going to raise your blood pressure. It's just, a few bad things happen in the course of having a nice, relaxing day and serving customers their favorite drinks and getting to know this hot chick that works with you behind the counter. So it's really neat. I absolutely love Legends and Lattes, and I equally loved Bookshops and Bone Dust for various reasons, not the least of which is it involves a bookshop, and I love books. This is technically a prequel. It's technically a prequel, but I would not recommend reading it before you have read Legends and Lattes. This definitely should be read after Legends and Lattes, and it should be read before Brigands and Bread Knives. We'll get to that in a minute. This follows Viv, of course, and this is kind of during the time when Viv is questioning herself. She's trying to live the life that she's lived all along and continue doing the things that she's always done, fighting the battles and bringing the bad guys to justice. But there's a part of her, once she's willing to be honest with herself, that makes her crave something lighter, that makes her crave a little bit of a quieter life. And so she runs across this bookstore that is failing miserably. It's really going downhill, and the owner recommends a book to her, and they strike up a friendship. And I won't go into too many details because I don't want to spoil too much of it. But Viv ends up becoming a very passionate reader, and she realizes that there are maybe more important things in life, and specifically in this town, than all the battles that she used to fight. So that is very front and center here. So in Legends and Lattes, we meet her when she's kind of made her choice. Bookshops and Bone Dust is a lot about her journey to get there and to kind of rediscover or maybe reimagine herself a little bit. And it takes getting stuck in this backwards town, as she might think of it. So really, really excellent book. I highly recommend it. And the other main character in this book is a ratkin, which is a rat character named Fern. That's all I'm going to say. I really want you to meet Fern and get a sense of who she is and what direction her life has taken. Because once you finish Bookshops and Bone Dust, and you pick up Brigands and Bread Knives, you're going to be following Fern. And I love the way that this series progresses from one book to the next as well. It feels very intentional, even though reading the author's thoughts in each book made it clear that he was kind of surprised at the direction that this went and what he ended up doing with Brigands and Bread Knives. But it was just a wonderful ride. The ending is a bit different than I was expecting, and I feel like that's good. I feel like it's a good ending, even though I wasn't quite sure what I thought of it at the time. This is not cozy in the way that these other two books are cozy, but it still has cozy elements, and it has plenty of humor and a good dose of action to boot. And it's, again, about someone who is kind of rethinking and discovering that maybe they need a change, even though they're not sure what that change entails. And I kind of wonder if they're still not sure by the end of the book. But that lack of assurance is okay. It's okay to kind of be in limbo at times. I really, really love this book, and I highly recommend it to you. And I just absolutely love Fern. She is an amazing character, and I really hope that you will check this series out, because it has a lot of those elements that are going to make you feel like you have just sat in front of a warm, crackling fire, covered with a blanket, and reading a good book, which you are reading a good book. This is a very good book. But it gives you that whole ambiance of comfort and the ability that maybe after you read a few chapters in the book, you could sit back and take a nice nap and refresh yourself and rest and recollect your faculties, as it were. So there's a lot of good to be had in these books. Again, make sure that you start with Legends and Lattes, and then move on to Bookshops and Bone Dust, and then on to Brigands and Bread Knives. I highly recommend all three. In fact, I read these two back to back, because once I got done with this book, I could not wait, because I had gotten this copy of his new book at a signing he did, and I got to meet Travis personally. Such a great guy, such a warm personality, and he's kind of cozy too. I don't know if he would think of himself as cozy, but I think he's kind of cozy too. So, highly recommend this series. And then I just want to give you some ideas of other books that you could read. There is a new series that I have not read from Sarah Beth Durst, and the first book is The Spell Shop. I may eventually read it because my partner has it, and so I may borrow it from her at some point. But it is definitely along those lines of a cozy book. As far as books I have read, I would highly recommend The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. That's one of my absolute favorites. And he actually wrote a sequel to that book, Somewhere Beyond the Sea, which is also a favorite of mine. I can't decide which one of those I enjoy more, so I highly recommend both of those books. And who knows, it could lead to a third book. I'm not sure, but I definitely recommend both of those. Not too long ago, I read a science fiction book, a novella actually, a cozy novella called Murder by Memory. And it's about a woman who is on a generation ship and a murder happens, which is very hard to do because everything a person is and everything a person has ever thought, all of their memories, everything that has made them who they are, is stored in the archives in this generation ship. So it takes place far in the future, and yet a murder happens. And so this is the story of how she solves that murder, what happens. And I thought it was just wonderfully written. I absolutely enjoyed the story. I do have a physical copy of it, but it's packed away right now, so I've got it here on the screen for you. Murder by Memory is a fantastic book. The second book in that series, if it's not out already, is coming out soon. So I can't wait to read the follow-up to it. All of these books, the ones I mainly talked about, as well as some of these suggestions that I have given you, are very cozy. They're very inviting. It's really nice to dive into a different world that helps you feel at peace, gives you a sense of contentment, and when everything in the world seems to be going wrong, you know that you can retreat to one of these books and just escape and be like, oh, okay, I've got my book, I've got my tea, I've got my blanket, I've got my cat, whatever it is, I've got all those things, and now I'm okay. I'm okay. I think I can get by with this until I figure out how to wrap my mind around the real world. And I think that's the beauty of escapism. It's not saying that you're just going to completely stop thinking about the real world and what's going on, but it gives you that chance to take your mind off of it so that you can come back with a clearer head to think about the things that are happening. Maybe come to some conclusion about them that works for you, that's good for you. And so I highly recommend any of these books, and maybe there's others. I know there's plenty of other cozy fantasies and sci-fis out there, and I would love for you to give me some recommendations, because I need to read more cozy fantasy. Goodness knows I could use it. So let me know in the comments below, what are some books that you would recommend that follow on this cozy line? I would love to know. Let me know as well if you plan to read some of these I have suggested to you, or maybe you've already read them. I would love to talk with you in the comments. Until next time, make sure you read more books, and if you want to watch more of my content, here's some ideas on the end screen.